And this is called an annunciation. Just in case you don't know, in the sort of Christian narrative, the annunciation is when the angel comes to Mary and tells her that she's going to give birth to Jesus, to the Son of God. And so this is called an annunciation. An annunciation. Wouldn't it be easier for the old woman who gets up each day to bake bread before dawn, who no longer dreams of anything, and the traveling salesman lost in thought, perched like a sparrow on the motel bed, if an angel came down and said, "This is your life now. Here is what you must do." The snow, like a heavy curtain, falls on our last acts. Upstairs, a teenager sings to herself by the frost-starred window. You hear her walking back and forth, bed to dresser, dresser to bed. Forgive yourself if you imagine these words are her song. You might suppose she's packing for a journey, but she left long ago. And this is the last of those 30 poems. This is called Your New World. You'll come back as something else, the monk says, but you won't know it. And you think, okay, well, what good is that? Out the window, you keep seeing birds. Well, maybe it's the same bird over and over, in his gray coat, his little brown cap. Could be Uncle Jerry. He zips away. It's spring. The stone Buddha with bright sun on one shoulder, snow on the other. People leave coins by his feet. To a baby, everything is a new thing. Each time, a first time. He's adrift in wonder, the doctor says, while you stumble along, staring at your phone. Where'd your new world go? The monk says, or you do. Either way, you feel bad. They had to cut down that old oak tree, but the stump's a good place to sit. And I'm going to end with one poem that's just a little bit longer. This is a poem about a painting. Suzanne mentioned. I like to write about paintings or music sometimes because they have their own stories and backstories, which I find really interesting. But also, it's interesting sometimes what seeing a painting or hearing a song will stir up in you associations or memories or different things. And this poem is kind of about that, or acts that kind of thing. And this poem started a while back. I used to work in an office that was, I would say, just within range. If you really want to see something at the Frick, which I did, you could walk there. It was sort of just within the general radius of that. And that's how this poem started, what this poem is about. It's called Forgotten Until You Find It. How decadent to pay $20 and not even take off my coat and stride past everything else to look only at her. But because she was there, I was too, for one long moment at the Frick as my lunch hour ticked away. Because her eyes, where the dark paint still looks wet, where still water gleams in the deep bottom of the well. Because the deep shadow her ear disappears in, except for the light catching on that one bob of jewelry. Because the light catching her lower lip, her open mouth. She's about to say, or just said, what? Is she hopeful? Wistful? Reluctant to say which way her feelings run? Because someone blew out the candle, someone lit one. Because she's realizing only now, or for the 100th time that day, that something won't, something can't happen. Or because it's all just made up anyway, a stock character in costume, as staged as the makeshift turban, that pale dollop of an earring. Who knows, maybe there wasn't one more to make a pair, so he had it cheap. So that this feels like a fable, as if there's some moral to be found. I was happy to stand halfway back in that circular, dark paneled room once used for dancing, as others filtered in, paused, cracked a quiet joke, or snuck a pic, then filtered out again, and craned over and around many heads to see her face like someone spotted across a loud, crowded ballroom. And then, finally, just look and look at her looking back. The girl with the pearl earring. Because it feels as if she is looking back. Because that reluctance, yes, and because that wistfulness. Because Vermeer did what we all want to do. Make time stop so we can see. A rare loan, the wall card said, when finally I inched forward, while her home in The Hague was remodeled and redecorated, and so because she otherwise wouldn't leave the Moritz house, where she's lived since 1902. Dutch Mona Lisa, someone sighed, or just whispered, and someone else said, yeah. The more I looked, the less I believed she was only an array of pigments dabbed and daubed, touched with fine brushes on a smallish sheet of stretched canvas. And not a real woman at all. Not someone turning to look back. Not full of nearly equal measures of hope and sorrow, emptiness, yearning, hesitation and wonder, and then whatever happens next, which of course we'll never know. Yes, turning to look back as if through a doorway or small window into this room. Because she is an array of pigments. And not just an array, but the original array called Meisje met de Parel in Dutch. And not a poster stuck to a dorm room wall, or a postcard that comes in the mail and gets tucked inside a book, forgotten until you find it, and it reminds you of the woman who jotted a few words on the back in blue pencil. Because I thought back 20 years to a girl in great books I wanted so badly. Clever and willowy, a writer, of course, with a wry smile, who smelled like lemons, liked tea, not coffee, and had corkscrew curls, wide, shining eyes, a constellation of freckles on each cheek, and lived on the second floor of a pale blue house off campus I could only imagine the inside of, because she held back at her door. Her hand, I remember, never letting go of the knob, and said, I'm sorry, I don't think I can. Because she also said she wanted my friend more, and so I turned away. Walking back the 20 blocks to my office, I thought of a narrow roof, small as Vermeer's, with tall windows, because one needs good light. A table and chair because one needs a place for her to sit, a place to seem worried or wondering, and have something to look at so she can look away. An open book, a letter unfolded and refolded and unfolded again. The news from far away, not yet spoken aloud. A large dark map hung on the wall, and back in the corner, the easel and brushes, the little cups of paint. Though all these things you must look for in other paintings, because his focus is so tight here. Her face turned back to see, her hair tucked away, just her shoulder, a bit of sleeve, and everything else falls into shadow. Because the slower time grows, the less you need. A borrowed earring, maybe not pearl after all, but tin, an expert says, missing the point of everything, as only an expert can. Because light and a pale cloth to wrap her hair. Because for a year he thought of her eyes, that darkness only possible if first there's light. Because, finally, just because. How easy this makes it sound, when clearly, for me, it would be impossible. Because the sun that, while hoofing it to the museum, was above me, now shone in my face, made me headachy, and I knew I'd be late getting back, though probably not missed. And because time doesn't stop. 20 years flashing past, like the yellow cabs that sometimes, late at night, catch every light, all the way down Fifth Avenue. Their taillights a blur along the deep dark, the wet shining street. Thank you. It's very exciting to be part of this event tonight for the 5th anniversary of Boundless Tales. It really creates a great sense of community for the writers in Queens and in the other boroughs too. I read in this series a couple of years ago, and it was really great to be able to share my work with this reading and writing community. I just want to say congratulations to Ida on a great series, and here's to many more years to come.
Okay. This gal has read for Boundless many times. I love her very much. Leona Godin. Leona Godin is a blind writer, performer, and doctor of philosophy. She received her PhD in early modern literature from NYU's English department and currently lives in Astoria, Queens. She has written and produced 2 plays, The Star of Happiness, about Helen Keller's time on vaudeville, and The Spectator and the Blind Man, about the very sexy history of the invention of Braille. Her writing has recently appeared or is forthcoming in Flapper House, Newtown Literary Review, and Quailville Magazine, where she writes a column called Be Still My Heart. Read all things Godin at drmlgodin.com.
Happy birthday, Boundless. Too many more. This is the first, the second-person triptych, an adaptation in progress of a theatrical experience. Watching Helen Keller perform through the adolescent eyes of one who is learning to see, you may wonder, perhaps, my dear audience, if you are not also the spectacle. Helen Keller tries to tell you her story. Onto the black stage she steps. You believe you hear her cane tapping, then stop. Papers rustle, and suddenly you're blinded by the brilliant light, the light which emanates from a lamp on her head, like that of a miner, creates dark smudges of her facial features. Under the brilliant light and shadow face, you see what appears to be an oversized pamphlet. Its pages glow eerily with the angel sleeves of her pale robe or jacket. At first you think the pages are blank, then you recognize them as braille deaf. She begins reading, I was not born blind. I was not born deaf. I was not born a joke. Something childish sparks in you. If Helen Keller fell down in the woods, would she make a sound? What? She asks. She seems disconcerted, not angry, and this titillates you. How did Helen Keller burn the side of her face? Helen Keller answers. I answered the iron. How'd she burn the other side? It rang again. Ha! You are having fun. What's Helen Keller's favorite color? Purple, she says. No, you tell her, corduroy. You laugh. These jokes are hilarious, and isn't she a sport playing this funny game with you? It is impossible to say if that is a scowl on her face, with the light in your eyes. You decide it is a smile. She seems to be waiting to see if you have finished, and having temporarily run out of jokes, you let her continue. I was born in 1880 in Tuscumbia, Alabama, on a post-bellum plantation called Ivy Green. The fair daughter of a Southern belle and a Confederate soldier, I had, you think of another one. How did Helen Keller's parents punish her? It's like the itch of phantom land. Must be scratched somehow. But she ignores you. I had, they tell me, keen eyes. They were blue. On the screen behind her, the opening sickbed scene of the 1962 film The Miracle Worker projects silently. Your eyes drift to the moving black and white image while Helen continues her story. In the winter of 1882, when I was 19 months old, just learning how to talk, I was struck by a fever. Some say it was meningitis, others say scarlet fever. It raged through my little body for 2 weeks, and when it broke, my family rejoiced. Talk of her family reminds you of your unrequited joke. And you can't help it. There is a little meanness in your voice when you repeat, "How did Helen Keller's parents punish her?" She pursues her reading doggedly. Then the doctor told them the fever had left me deaf and blind, and they mourned. It is like you're not even there. Like she's forgotten you sitting in the bright illumination of your personal, if somewhat erotic, spotlight. You raise your voice. Come on, how did Helen Keller's parents punish her? They washed my hands out with soap, she says, letting out an exasperated sigh. The sigh of a mother fed up with her little trickster. Nice, you say, but this new attitude of hers does not bother you. You're playing a part too. Besides, there are many punchlines to this joke. So you ask again, how did Helen Keller's parents punish her? This time, Helen answers with conviction. They moved the furniture around. Let's have another, you say. No, she says. They really did move the furniture around. What? Now you're confused. The projection on the wall shifts abruptly to the famous food fight scene of the miracle worker. 8 minutes of struggle between Helen and teacher, foot stomping, hands slapping, grappling, utensils clattering, inarticulate cries, and non-verbal reprimands. Helen continues her story. They called me the tyrant of Ivy Green. I was a mass of impulses, aided or thwarted by others, a wild thing. I snatched the food off the plates of others at table and flew into violent tantrums when corrected or deterred. I was strong, active, indifferent to consequences. I knew my own mind well enough and always had my own way, even if I had to fight tooth and nail for it. They tell me that more than one relative suggested my parents put me into an asylum. What, a home for retards? You thought of another one, and this one is good. Hey, I got one for you. What did Helen Keller name her dog? You are dying. This is so funny. She refuses to answer. That's okay. You got this one. Silence greets your hilarity. Okay, you didn't like that one. She shakes her head emphatically, raking the light across your visionscape. That's okay. You're going to love this one. She has her hand on her hip. She is not amused. Why can't Helen Keller drive? You wait until you can't wait any longer. You explode. Because she's a woman! You laugh uproariously. She remains looking at you, you think, with those eye pits under the light. You cover your mouth and sigh. What can you do with someone so totally devoid of a sense of humor? As a matter of fact, says Helen, I was a feminist, a suffragette. A what? Your jokes have made me dumb. I fought for a woman's right to vote. I was quite the radical, socialist and anti-war activist. I was one of the founding members of the NAACP. I was very politically engaged. So how did you end up performing like a freak on vaudeville? It's complicated. People criticized me for, quote, the deplorable theatrical exhibition into which I had allowed myself to be dragged. But we needed the money, and we were one of the highest paid acts on vaudeville. Oh, I get it, you say. You were a sellout. You know, she says testily, it's not that easy to make a living as a deaf-blind woman, even with a degree from Radcliffe, even graduating summa cum laude. I didn't want to be a charity case. Andrew Carnegie offered to give me a pension for the rest of my life, but of course I couldn't possibly accept his money since he was a capitalist pig who, during the course of our interview, threatened to take me over his knee and spank me for my pinko politics. Can you imagine? I was a grown woman, so it was much more dignified to perform on vaudeville. Besides, being on stage gave me the opportunity to educate people about workers' rights and the injustices of our capitalist system. Wow, you say, allowing a little snark. That sounds like a fun show. I had jokes too. Thanks a lot, everyone. I am so excited to be a part of Boundless Tales' 5-year anniversary show. I think I've been with them since the very beginning, and it's meant so much to be able to go out in my own neighborhood and read my work. And I've met so many amazing people through Boundless Tales. It's helped me get connected with other literary organizations, for instance, Newtown Literary, and get published there. So it's really been a wonderful thing for this neighborhood. I'm in Astoria, so Astoria is being represented. And Aida is awesome. I wish her the best of luck in another 5 years. I hope we're all here again in 5 years for our 10-year birthday.
Now you see why. Another birthday. Thank you so much. Okay. Stephanie, that's Harry Buzz, an Astoria native and the author of the legal thriller The Boulevard Trial, 2015. Her short stories have been published in the Nottingham Review, Writing Raw, Literary Drama, and Akashic Books' Terrible Tuesday series. Her poetry has appeared in the Newtown Literary Journal, San Francisco Peace and Hope Literary Drama, and New Space Magazine. She holds a BA in English from Fordham College at Lincoln Center and a JD from the England Law School in Boston, where she studied law and literature. Stephanie has part of work on her YA novel, The Wrong American, a coming-of-age story set in the early 1990s. Please welcome
Thank you so much, Audrey and Ida and Devin. I mean, this is just incredible. A year ago, I don't know, I could never have imagined even standing here. So Boundless Tales is just so validating to me as a writer, as a Queens native. So thank you. And stick to that. So I'm going to be reading a couple of excerpts from chapter 2 of my YA novel in progress, The Wrong American, which tells the story of Sofia Carini, an Italian Latina first-generation teenager of the early 1990s. So after being accepted to a prestigious high school, the so-called St. Paul's High School, far from the working-class neighborhood, Sophie finds a doppelganger and best friend in a girl named Angie from the suburbs, who comes from pretty much the exact ethnic background. And as the school years pass, Sophie experiences the complexities of her sexual, racial, and economic identities through her relationship with Angie, but also with a lot of the other characters she meets along the way. So the first excerpt from chapter 2 takes place in Italian class on the first day of school, where Sophie runs into Angie. And then the second excerpt takes place after school with some kids from Sunnyside. Yeah, there you go, take place with kids. Okay, so here's the first excerpt of chapter 2. The bomb shelter buzz marking the end of lunchtime is a relief. I follow the crowd out of the cafeteria with my bags and head to Italian class in the West Wing. Our teacher, Signore Ferdone, is a balding middle-aged giant in a polyester gray suit and dark-rimmed glasses who sweeps up and down the aisles, pointing at us and calling out our last names in a Queen's accent that peeks out of his proper speech like my sisters did after she joined a debate team at St. John's. Bel giorno, he says, pointing out his seat in the first row. To my relief, I watch Angie step out from the back of the crowd and take her seat. She smiles when she spots me and gives me a small wave. I smile and wave back. Carini, says Ferdone, pointing at his seat in the second row, which is right next to Angie's. I sit down and smile at her again. I looked for you at lunch, she whispers. I jump, startled that anyone would want to sit with me. Me too, I say. The cafeteria was crazy. It's easy to get lost in there. I sat by the windows facing the parking lot. Oh, okay. There were some kids from my other classes if you want to join us tomorrow. I nod, trying to hide how excited I am. Sure, yeah, I'll come tomorrow. Great. Rubone's voice cuts off our conversation. Studenti in rows 2, 4, essay, 2, 4, and 6. Turn your desks to face the person to your right, he says like an announcer at a square dance. Everyone scrapes the floor with their metal desks and does what Rubone says. Open your textbooks to exercise numero 1. For you numbskulls from Howard Beach, let's exercise number 1. Find the same exercise in your workbooks and fill in the blanks with your partner. Angie and I laugh and roll our eyes. You can be speaker number 1, Domenico from Chicago, says Angie, giggling. Got it. I always like to think they're saying something raunchy, like, Buongiorno Maria, why don't we ditch the coffee and go back to my place? Says Angie, shout whispering. I crack up at that one. Rubone turns around. Signorine, please, he says, lifting a finger to his closed lips. Okay, I say to Angie, let's start again. It's more fun if we say their names before what they say, so like, Domenico, Buongiorno Maria. Maria, Buongiorno Domenico, please pass me your cannoli. Angie and I turn red and bury our faces into our folded arms on our desks. It's like laughing during mass with my old principal, Sister Mary Rose, glaring at me from the corner of her eye. What's with the bullshit? Asks Rabone. Angie and I stop laughing at that one. I suppose teachers are allowed to curse in high school. Sorry, I say, we didn't mean to be so loud. Angie pretends to write notes in her workbook. Cut the bullshit or I'll send you both down to the dean. Okay, we say in unison. Asshole! Angie mouths when Rabone turns around. I nod and join my lips to stop from laughing. At the end of the exercise, Rabone lets us go and says we'll be starting with verbs on Wednesday. He'll show us an opera on Friday, which we will do regularly if we're good. I smile to myself, knowing opera is one of 2 good things I've learned from my father. The other is an undying loyalty to the Yankees. I walk Angie back to her locker. Meet me by the windows tomorrow for lunch, she says, clutching my elbow. Don't forget, okay? I won't forget, I promise. Okay. Hey, why don't we exchange numbers just in case? Sure. I tell Angie my number, which she writes on the inside of her Italian workbook. Great, she says. I'll see you tomorrow. Ciao, I say, and walk back to the East Wing for English class. Okay, so now the next excerpt is the after-school scene where Sophie runs into a Sunnyside couple. And things get interesting. Do keep in mind the time period. This is the early 90s as far as the pop culture goes. Just a little bit. At the bus stop, I see the Sunnyside couple sitting on the white wicker patterned metal bench. Inspired after making lunch plans with Angie for the next day and surviving my first day in high school, I sit down next to them. This is the stop for the Q88 bus, right? I ask the caramel stripe-haired girl. She perks up at my question and smiles. Yeah, the next stop is by 7-Eleven, but that's too far to walk. I know what you mean. I don't mention the girl who got hit by that car in the story my father told me. Anyway, I get tired really fast. Same here, especially in D, she says, lifting her platform heels in the air. Why don't you tell her how you fell today? Asked the blonde guy in an exaggerated high-pitched voice while smirking. Shut up, Dick, says the girl. I laugh, nervous and relieved that the cute blonde guy finally spoke. Is your name Dick? I asked the guy. Not always. I'm Seth. Princess over here is Shannon. I'm Sophie. You guys take the 7 train too, right? Yeah, says Shannon. Do you live in Sunnyside? No, I live in Astoria. Shannon raises her eyebrows. That's fine. You didn't want to go to St. John's? No. I decide not to talk about avoiding the bully bitches from my elementary school or escaping from my father. St. Paul's is a much better high school than St. John's. Yeah, she says, I just hope I don't fail math. My teacher's this 23-year-old football coach who doesn't know what the frig he's doing. Whatever, I just want to go to summer school. Stop being so paranoid, says Seth. You're such an ass pain. Shut up. I laugh at the way they talk to each other. Are you guys brother and sister? Shannon's hazel green eyes bulge out at that one. She chuckles. You think I'm related to this freak? I don't know, you guys just act like that. Seth laughs. Princess and I went to St. Sebastian's. Then she followed me here. She needs me to look after her in case someone tries to look up her skirt, which isn't hard since she yanks it all the way up. What are you, my father? Asked Shannon. I laughed. It's really easy to make you laugh, isn't it? Seth asks me. No. It's cool, just don't wet yourself. You're sick. Seth looks into my eyes for longer than a few seconds and smiles. I feel my cheeks get warm. The bus pulls up and we get on. First Shannon, then Seth, and me. They take a double seat and I sit sideways in a single seat to face them. A kid with a head of tight, curly blonde hair takes a seat by himself by the door. He stares out the window with lowered eyelids and thick eyebrows like a sheep. That kid looks like the little brother and son I married an axe-murderer, Seth whispers in a Scottish accent. Oh my God, you're right, I love that movie. Mike Myers is kind of genius, he says. Absolutely, but nobody's as funny as Bill Cosby. That perv? What? Dr. Huxtable, are you crazy? I'm just telling you what my brother's girlfriend told me. She was a makeup artist at this TV studio, and it turns out Cosby's a major Mickey slipper. No way! I watched the Cosby Show every day. There's no way that's true. It is. My brother's girlfriend said he slips him in Mickey's and does shit. Sexual shit while they're passed out. That's why I never watch the show. It's all $50. Ouch. I mean, if that were true, I would definitely stop watching the Cosby Show. It would be the worst thing ever, because, like, if you can't trust Bill Cosby, who the hell can you trust? Thank you. So Boundless Tales has had an amazing impact on my career as a writer. I was so honored to read from my novel last year, The Boulevard Trial, at the Astoria Bookshop, thanks to Boundless Tales. And it was just so great to have a forum to present my work here in our literary community of Queens. So I'm just so grateful to Ada and to Audrey and Devin for this great opportunity. Thank you.
Our last reader for the evening is Jennifer Baker. She is a graduate of the New School MFA program, a production editor, and has contributed to Forbes.com as well as Bustle. She's a social media director and a writing instructor at Sackett Street Writers Workshop, longtime member of the nonprofit We Need Diverse Books, and creator-host of the Minorities in Publishing podcast. Her work has appeared in Newtown Literary, where her short story, The Pursuit of Happiness, was nominated for the 2017 Pushcart Prize. Eclectic Flash, Poets and Writers Magazine, Boston Literary Magazine, The Daily Work, and in the Female Complaint, Blue Shade, Young Press. That's all on her.
I'm going to be quick because I'm last.
Take your time.
If we're out of wine, we're in trouble. I love being a Queens resident. I'm a native New Yorker, born and raised here. But I'm also kind of happy with Queens being on the down low because then our rent stays low. But then at the same time, you want that recognition that Brooklyn keeps getting for that.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, okay. Y'all have a whole. Not bitter at all. This is just going to be the first portion from a short story collection. Same character that was in Newtown. In one arm, you clasp onto your infant daughter, pressing her against your chest. With the other hand, your toddler son clutches you. You bust through the doors of the supermarket sideways, and you're hit with the reprieve of air conditioning, alleviating you from the heat of the sun and the blanket of humidity you waded through in the parking lot. Calvin squirms, alerting you of the full bladder and the minimal time you have to get into the bathroom. And even though this isn't a shopping trip, he doesn't hesitate to say, "Ooh, can we get Crispies?" while you weave through the aisles. past the dry goods and the refrigerated section, through the produce and the area where meat is butchered. The rawness of hide is extremely pungent the closer you get to it. You and your children swerve by aisles trying to get to the other side. Sidestepping consumers free of children, or ones hanging on to them as well. You say, "Excuse me," and whisper, "Move." The bathrooms are tucked into a corner of the market, hidden for those who aren't searching for them. You drag Calvin into the woman's room when he edges. "What's wrong?" Alarmed, you crouch down and search his overalls for wet spots in the front. "Did you already go?" "I want to use the big boys," he says. Big boy. The words he's used regularly since the countdown began for his 5th birthday. 25 days and counting. Calvin, sigh. You shift Kayla, squeeze her so your arms press her more into your body, already sweat-soaked because of the lack of air from the fan in the car and the increasing temperature outside. You unbuckle one of Calvin's loops. He in turn sways, tapping his feet to a beat only he knows, but translates universally to the Pee-Wee dance. "I have to go with you," you tell me. "Please." Why now, of all times, do you have to go to the bathroom by yourself? Do it at home. Already he sounds like his father, building an argument for himself, already able to reason. His eyes enlarge in that way that pleads and projects cuteness. Damn, you think he'll get anything he wants when he's older. Undoing the other buckle, you hold his gaze and tell him slowly, carefully, not so much talking down, but being assertive. You go in and you come out, understand? And what about strangers? Strangers are danger. Go, quick. He smiles, then hustles inside, pushing the door back and giving you one last grin before heading in. It's when one worry is gone that another arises and you feel your own bladder full and not willing to wait. You clench your whole body in hopes this will pass, but apparently it cannot. You push in the doorway and yell for your son. "Stay inside, okay? I'll be right back." What sounds like a K sends you to the ladies' room. Kayla's head swivels all over her new places. She likes lights, she likes sparkly things. She smiles all gums when you jiggle her, not so much for her amusement, but because you have to maneuver in the stall. You hang your purse up and switch your baby clothes on. Lift your skirt with one hand, then lower your panties with the other and hover over an already sprinkled upon toilet seat. The smell is not that of a restroom, but not that of cleanliness either. And you make a point not to let anything that isn't clad in shoes touch the floor. The move to shuffle your underwear up your legs is reminiscent of the twist. Kayla enjoys it. She bites onto your shoulder and sucks dampening the short sleeve of your dress. Teething, you remember, and try to think if you have one of her pacifiers in your purse as you wash your hands with Kayla between your arms, her butt on the water-soaked sink. Now she looks like she made a mess. Any coolness that alleviated your perspiration is gone due to bathroom choreography. Your underarms are wet and Kayla's heat raises your own. Your brows beaded and you get out in record time, but you don't see help. Pushing in the door, you spy a man doing his own jiggle at the urinal and gasp an apology as you duck outside. "Calvin, you in there?" you ask, but there's no response from a child. Instead, it's a man, startled and baritone, that responds, "Lady, this is a men's room." "Well aware of that. Is there a little boy in there?" "Lady, I don't. Can you check, please?" The sound of a buckle latching and a grunt from this man, knocking on stalls and doors, rattling in response. "No one else in here," he calls. "Thank you, Mom." "Calvin, you're frantic. He has to be here. He has to." In this moment, you're unsure who you're mad at, him or yourself. Your daughter fidgets more, feeling your tension, hearing the fear in your voice, and she starts to whimper. An undercurrent at first before she opens her mouth and her whine rings through the supermarket along with your own cries. "Calvin!" Your voice is rough and scratchy. You rush through more rows. There are too damn many. Past Ghostbuster cereal, past Mott's applesauce, past Kalamata Alice, and Velveeta Mac. So much food. Who the hell would eat all of this? The blockades hinder your search, seeming more like a maze than a place to attain goods to feed your family. You continue up and down until you see the overalls, the checkered blue and red shirt, and the woman who has his sleeves scrunched under her hood. "Calvin," you rush at them. The woman surveys you. "Mommy," Calvin cries, edging away from the person holding on to him. "That's my mommy," he repeats, pointing at you. Your daughter joins in. "Mommy," she says, to you or the woman or anyone in her threat. You try to cancel out the rage in your voice, put on the in public tone, because you don't have much noise. Didn't I tell you to stay put? Calvin Calvin dips his head. Yeah. You left this child unattended, the woman says. And the way she asks it is not a polite question or even accusatory. It's as though you're one of the stupidest women on the face of the earth. He had to go. So did I. Thank you for finding him. You reach for him, but Calvin is seized by this woman. You're aware this child was left alone. Her amazement at your actions is all over her tone. Her face has the demeanor of someone sucking on a lemon. Half her body covers Calvin as if she's doing her duty as a good citizen to protect him from it. This woman attempts to admonish you with a look, like you haven't felt back before. A standoff begins. Your son is in between, trembling, shifting, reaching out, but also holding back, not knowing what is expected of him. He's a tiny thing, barely coming up to your hip, but on this squat woman, he reaches higher. He's been trained to listen to adults and stands by idly. While your daughter continues to fidget in your arms and your son fidgets in this woman's grip, you remember Kayla's tone. Lighter, but matching yours. And Calvin being the one that does not sync with your announcement that you see what she sees. The row you're in is canned goods up and down. Sturdy items fermented and sealed that will last forever and could make a mean den if you simply tilted your body over, used the hand that wasn't adhering one child to your person and decided to toss it. You like to consider yourself the calm sort, reasonable, not overly emotional. It's why you fit in with your in-laws. You're not that upper Negro, that all-out deal that sets worlds on fire with a glance so wicked it's on par with Medusa herself. The point at hand is that you were cut from vagina to anus to give birth to Calvin and Kayla. You couldn't piss straight, let alone sit down for a week after childbirth. You were in a postpartum funk that engulfed you in darkness for days. A depression so heavy it was like wool across your body, initiating fluctuating moods that included panic attacks, inciting thrashing in the bed leading to your husband sleeping on the floor. Gradually, you woke up to your humanity and to motherhood and the appreciation that you carried a child to term finally. You had losses, let out children that were not yet fully formed before achieving success. So who the fuck does this woman think she is trying to discount what we've earned? To dismiss with a flick of the eye what your body, which was once an hourglass gone pear-shaped, has brought into this world as not yours. When you look at your son, he is pale, he is pointy-nosed, he is freckled, and smiling, and dull to the bone. And taking all of this and more than anything, he is yours. Fuck this, you say. You bring Kayla closer to you, the shoulder at the top of your breast clinging to your skin as she sucks. You rush at this woman. Her eyes turn to saucers when you duck down, swoop up your son, heavy, and make your exit. Calvin clasps his arms around your neck, but his lower half slides down your torso. You're rushing, eyes focused on the door, waiting for the woman to chase you down. For some reason, you expect dogs, flashing lights, police intervention. At the doorway, one of the men you've seen before holds a platter of cold cuts with toothpicks sticking out. Kayla breaks from your shoulder to lunge for it. You turn, knocking her head against your breast. You're already using your backside to open the door, letting it shut behind you, but your daughter is too quick, too curious, and too willing to thrust out fingers so that when she separates from your body again, albeit briefly, her face, her cheeks so chubby and consistently commented on those who peer at her, is smacked by the metallic rim of the door. Thank you. It's really great to be here because Queens, like I had mentioned before I read, doesn't get a lot of notoriety in terms of the literary world. So I'm so grateful for the Boundless reading series because whenever I do readings, I'm doing them in Brooklyn. And it's really nice to be a Queens resident, a native New Yorker who is reading in Queens, and also to see the wealth of different talent of poets and playwrights and YA writers and fiction writers and nonfiction writers, what are they bringing. And I think it's so essential to have those kind of key reading series like Boundless to kind of make a mark in those boroughs, to just say, this is what we have, these are the people in Queens, this is what we're ready to celebrate. And to do it over 5 years, that's a really big accomplishment for any reading series. So that's something to be very congratulatory for Ida and Nancy and everyone who's helped to make this happen. And I'm grateful for Ida because I met her in a Facebook group, and she said, oh, well, there's a Queens reading. And I said, what? Really? Is that possible? And I know that they were doing readings at Astoria, and even before the Astoria Bookshop came, they were doing readings. And now to do it here with Queens Council of the Arts, which gives grants to emerging writers in Queens, it kind of all comes full circle to represent that literary world that is just not represented, like I said, in Queens so far. And I hope it's starting to really kind of set some ground to acknowledge that we're here as well, we're different, we have such a variety of stories and voices that it's so unique to Queens. And Queens is the most diverse borough. So it makes sense to have this diversity of representation and also this wonderful series to show our voices. So thank you, Ida.
So there are several people. First of all, QPTV is here. Thank you to QCA. I have to really make sure I cover everyone. Didn't pick up where I couldn't, I wouldn't be here. Nancy Agabian is here. Nancy, I told my daughter because I didn't know when it was going to happen, and sure enough, that same night that I gave birth to my daughter, Nancy was covering. And that's when I realized I need help. I need people to cover me because I can't do this month to month. So you guys are awesome, and my readers, you are amazing. And this audience, can you raise your hand if you've read for us before? Now, what I was hoping is for some of the writers/readers to share their favorite memory of Boundless, but it has turned into a long evening. If you want to go on Facebook and post something of your favorite memory, that would be wonderful, because I think it's hot. Go out and have more fun. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
It feels amazing because Boundless has done so much for me in my literary career and becoming my full poet and writer, curator, and host self. I owe so much to Boundless. They gave me a shot in October of 2011, which was like their beginning also. So since 2011 till now, we've been on this journey together. And really, it's just shown me so much about community, being involved, about hosting. Ida is an impeccable curator, and she has such a wonderful sense of bringing in emerging writers with established writers and just creating this space. It's inspired me so much in my own work. So I'm blessed to still be a part of Boundless. You did it! We did it! You made this! You believed in this from the beginning, and you were there when there was, you know, almost nothing for us to belong to, all of us, you know, writers in Queens, and we made this together and created this community. And congratulations. Thank you for giving me a chance and helping me get to this beautiful place that I am forever grateful. Yeah.